podcast. My name is Hannah.
And I'm Fletcher.
And we're the master trainers here in New Zealand. So we really wanted to sit down and just have a chat about all of the new stuff going on with Microsoft, the latest, the greatest, some things you may have missed, what we're really loving, some things that we pick up along the way, any hints, tips, tricks. And essentially, the idea of it is for us just to have a chat, and we want to have a chat with you guys as well. So anything you find interesting, anything you want to comment on, do leave it down in the comments below, because we would love to hear from you. And if you have any ideas for us of what you want us to talk about, absolutely flood them in and keep them coming up.
That's super exciting. It's super exciting to be on a brand new podcast, and looking forward to crack into it.
Absolutely. So what we're talking about today, guys, we are doing a question of the week, which we will have every week. We would love to also extend that question out to you guys. In case you missed it, we're going to be talking about 5 years of Surface Pro, which is very...
all the feels.
All the feels. I've been with Microsoft for quite a long time, so that's a key topic of mine that I've loved talking about from February and through March as well. I wish that I knew. So this is going to be a cool little segment we have about fun tips and tricks that we have learned that we wish we knew about at other points in our lives, or new features that will make things easier for your day-to-day tasks. And then we will be closing with the crowd goes wild, which is the thing that in the office that no one will shut up about. And this time around we will be talking about Sea of Thieves. So let's kick off with the question of the week. Alright, Fletch, so the question of the week this week, and we'd love to extend it to you guys as well, so please let us know in the comments your answer and some of your awesome memories as well. What is your first memory of using a computer?
This is a great question for hitting you in the feels and having some great conversations with people, and we've had some awesome ones
Absolutely
on this in the last week or so. But my very, very first memory of using a computer goes all the way back to when I lived in Tauranga, which was probably when I was growing up, and I think we got it when I was about 5 or 6, so quite young. And like I really appreciate looking back now that investment my parents made in that computer, because it helped me so much developing, and that relates directly to the story, because the first program or game that I vividly remember using was called Reader Rabbit, which was just such an awesome like kids game, an educational game. I thought it was world famous. Hannah and code burst my childhood bubble by no one knowing what the heck I was talking about. Has anybody else
heard of it? Like, please do help Fletch out and give him a shout out if you've also played Reader Rabbit as well.
Help me relive my childhood dreams. But Reader Rabbit was like a great educational game. It taught me maths. It taught me like how to spell, all sorts of stuff, and it made it really, really fun. Like, I clocked this game so much. It was the first game I clocked. Probably is why I love story-driven games and just clocking and doing everything in them now.
Did it have like a good old like 90s Spider Solitaire, like fireworks when you finish?
I don't know. That's soul crushing to me. I know the end was really big, because it's
not about the destination,
so much.
It's about the journey.
That journey was awesome as well, and it made my poor little self go crazy, having to make sure that I got the equations right so the sawmill would keep operating, and you know, all these bad things wouldn't happen to the different animal families that lived around the place. Like, I could not let anything bad happen. That would be an absolute disaster. But it was awesome, and I loved that game to death. And it was all thanks to my parents, like spending $3,000 on a machine like this, which I have no idea how they afforded. But it was awesome, and that's why I think I'm a good speller now. So
I wish maybe Reader Rabbit could have helped me, because I'm very guilty of like spell check for life. I've never been particularly good at spelling. But what you said about like the fact that your parents invested $3,000, like that's not an insignificant amount of money.
Not at all.
And I was really lucky that I was in the same boat. Like my dad has worked in some realm of technology my entire life. You know, Paul, if you wanted to know.
Yeah, you'll learn about our family's names all the
Paul
time.
Reynolds studied IT in the early 80s. which blows my mind. Like, obviously that was, computers up and coming, but that was before Microsoft's goal of having a computer in every home. He would have seen, I guess, how awesome this thing was going to be, and translated that into my life and my brother's life as well. We had heaps of educational games like the Magic School Bus. Do you remember the Magic School Bus?
I remember the Magic School Bus. It was a great show.
Yeah.
I think I played the game for it at school.
Yeah, they were made by Microsoft as well, I learned in researching this. But the human body from the Magic School Bus was one of my favourites as a kid. Just saying a human body with no other context to that is a really weird thing to say. But the Magic School Bus, the human body game, what you did, you had Miss Frizzle, that's her name, right? I said that real confidently, my memories are coming back to me.
Yeah, the teacher.
And you got on this bus and you went through the human body, you learned about skin, you learned about organs,
the bus did get smaller before it went in, for anyone who doesn't know the Magic School Bus.
Stuff.
It was magic, as per the name.
As per the name, the Magic School Bus. There were just all kinds of really awesome things, and things that I learned purely by having fun.
Yeah.
And because I remember, a friend of mine used to come to my house and we'd play on the computer because they didn't have one at home yet.
Yeah.
I was so super lucky to be one of the few in my year at school or whatever who did have a device at school. And then I remember, when computers started coming into the classroom, I used to get to school early every day.
Ah, yes.
Because we had our computer in our classroom that was dedicated to educational games.
Ah, really? I played mini clips. I was friends with the teacher's son.
Nice.
And we played mini clips from 8 o'clock in the morning.
Perfect.
So school
See, you were me. I was so that person. Sky Roads, not particularly educational, but still one of my favourite games to this day. Zoombinis, that was another great learning one. I remember the Magic School Bus Solar System edition or
That's
something
the one
like that.
I played a lot.
Yeah, and Miss Frizzle had the solar system on her skirt and was super cool. What a jazzy lady. I wish I could dress like Miss Frizzle
Pull off
in
her
my
style.
real life. Yeah. Word rescue, number rescue, those were very Mario-esque, level up kind of games where you'd have to collect things along the way and complete challenges in order to level up and move on.
Yeah, and I just can't help but go on a tangent because this is such a great topic. But I remember, I think the more I look back on it, the more I understand how I got into this role.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was going to be a historian when I was 10 or 11. I thought it was going to be, because I love history.
I genuinely thought I was going to be a hippie and that I was going to live in a van.
Yeah.
Who knew? How did we end up?
Yeah, how did we end up here? But when I got a little bit older in the early 2000s, I actually saved up my pocket money and I bought a computer, and I remember changing out the RAM on it and making it over a gig of RAM. Oh my gosh, so much memory in that computer. And just jamming on that, and it was cheaper than buying a console at the time, so that was great fun. And me and Hannah were talking about it, right up to going into high school, we were using some of these programs that have been around a long time, Mavis Beacon.
Yeah, Mavis Beacon was the one.
Mavis Beacon.
Even in high school we were using that, so I hope you guys know what Mavis Beacon is. If you've never heard of this gem, it's a software designed to teach you how to type.
Yeah, touch type. Yeah.
Touch type. And very much the same kind of thing, I guess, as Read a Rabbit, where, I remember one specifically where you're in a race car and you've got to type fast, and whoever types the fastest wins.
And, penguins melting on icebergs.
Yeah.
Teaching me about global warming as well. What a double-edged sword.
Great. Learning things educationally through technology. But that was something that was created in, I want to say,
It was in the 90s.
In the 80s, actually.
In the 80s?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was wrong.
There were different versions, but I think the first ever version of Mavis Beacon typing was, I want to say, 1983 or 87. It's one of the two. I can't remember.
And I was using it in 2011. Hannah used it way earlier than me. And
but what a valuable skill, right? I started using it when I started intermediate in 2005. I remember it so vividly in Miss Paxton's class. Shout out Miss Paxton if you ever happen to watch this. But that is one of the key skills I've learned in my life. I remember that so clearly from high school. I remember how stupid I thought it was at the time because I was a teenager and I knew better. But typing quickly in this day and age, I don't think any 15-year-old now would ever think that would be a skill that you had to learn.
I remember, I think we were talking to some of our counterparts in Aussie, and of all those skills that they learned at high school and school and stuff, so many of them said typing was the most valuable.
Yeah, totally.
It's crazy, and it's quite true.
Who knows what algebra is? I learned to type and that was something helpful. Absolutely. So I think, and kind of the more we've talked about this, the more we've looked about, how technology has changed. Even in my short wee lifetime, Fletch and I are both youngins. We're 24 years old, born in 1994. You're not 24
I'm not
yet,
24,
are you?
yeah.
23, little baby Fletch. But 1994, the year before Windows 95 came out, so I think that we came into the world the same year as Justin Bieber.
Same year when you still had to buy internet in a box.
You still had to buy internet in a box. Yeah, all of these things where the world was slowly, the beebs, whether the good or the better, however you want to look at it. The good or the better or worse. Damn it.
No, I know what. I think I know what Hannah thinks of the beebs. So
I love the beebs. I learned to love the beebs. But how much has changed in such a short period of time, which excites me. I'm not much of a sci-fi kind of person. I'm a realist. But thinking about, we're looking at things like HoloLens now, mixed reality. All of these awesome things. How much has changed in my lifetime? What else is going to happen?
It's crazy. It's awesome. I was even listening to another podcast this morning, and they're using mixed reality in the NFL to teach quarterbacks how to read the field and stuff like that.
Awesome.
It's so much sci-fi stuff happening now, which we don't, we know about, but we'd love to share with you guys as well.
Absolutely, and I think just the mind-blowing nature of things like that, as you said, super sci-fi, being able to touch a screen and work with holograms and stuff, that is happening. That is happening now. I remember, our Windows 95 computer at home having floppy disks.
So great.
And having an entire 3-tier drawers full of floppy disks next to our computer because Paul Reynolds is a smart man and he would back up our device and all of that jazz. But going from floppy disks to CD-ROMs. Yeah. My God. And now, can you even still buy a computer with a CD-ROM, with a CD drive?
Yes, you can.
But few and far between, right? Because
they're far less common.
Once again moved on from that. I remember having super fond memories of my Sony Walkman and having a cassette player. My first ever album was Good Charlotte's The Young and the Restless.
Super rebel years.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell, I was an emo when I was younger. But even going from that to a Walkman with a CD player, and now I listen to music on my phone. I listen to music on my phone. I can now use the internet on my phone instead of good old dial-up where you couldn't. It was either or, not both. And that was only one in a household. It really, really blows my mind how far technology's come in such a short period of time.
Yeah, and that's a great segue onto our next topic, which is 5 years of Surface.
Alright, so in case you guys have missed it, we have been talking an awful lot about celebrating 5 years of Surface Pro.
And it's a double hit in the feels on this
all
podcast.
The feels.
It's so cool. We talked about, our first computer memories, and now we're talking about something that's super relevant to kind of both me and Hannah's journey from working in retail into where we are now, and particularly Hannah, because you're on the Microsoft Promoter field team.
Yeah, I've been kicking around for quite some time. So I first started my job in November of 2013 as a Windows 8 demonstrator. So that was not long after the Surface Pro 2 had joined the market. So the Surface Pro first came out on the 8th of February 2013. It was 10.1 inches, it was black, it was slightly thicker than what we're used to now, quite a hell of a lot thicker if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But in comparison, 5 years ago, let's cut her some slack.
Yeah.
But so that came out, it had a delightful what we called touch cover.
I remember those. They were still cool.
There was
a
type cover came out with the Surface Pro 2, but the touch cover was essentially like typing on a touch screen across the bottom. Like just super interesting, something so different to anything that we'd ever seen before. And what I love so much about Surface is I genuinely believe that it created a whole new category. Like 2-in-1s didn't exist before the Surface came to be.
I was in retail at the time, and like I remember it was definitely like a rejuvenation. I can't think of a better word, but
Great
a rejuvenation.
Word. There isn't a better word as the answer to that.
It was a rejuvenation of the PC market, and I love technology, so I thought an i7 8 gig laptop was awesome because I could game on it. That's great. But like this was something that had those specs in the small, awesome form, and
Absolutely.
I think anyone who was into tech just wanted one at the time, right? Like it was amazing.
Totally, and I think that like you mentioned, anyone who was into tech wanted one. There was very much like two lines of customers that I faced when I started doing this. There was the people who heard about it and who wanted it.
Yeah.
If you guys were in store at that point in time, you may remember the great Surface Pro 2 shortage of 2013, 2014. You could not find one of these puppies anywhere. They sold out pretty damn swiftly. The Surface Pro was super popular, but the Pro 2, they just really kicked it up by, getting a new generation of processor. There were now 2 levels on the kickstand. We now go right on down to studio mode. But yeah, either a customer would come in and they knew about it, they wanted it, they couldn't find it anywhere in the world, or they had no idea what on earth I was talking about. And I had so many people just genuinely not believe me because it was so unlike anything they'd ever seen before. The idea of having an i7 processor and 8 gig of RAM and something so small, the tablet that can replace your laptop was the tagline of Surface when it first came out. How
awesome.
Fletcher, how could something so small replace your traditional 15.6 inch laptop?
I vividly remember those, and I was lucky to be in a store that had a Surface table to show them off. I personally think it was like a gateway to not just 2-in-1s but other kind of form factors that could use touch. Like a convertible, a 360 degree turning laptop.
Absolutely.
Before then, and I hate that it was viewed this way because I totally disagree with it, but touch was very much viewed by your average customer as gimmicky. Trigger word.
I hate the word gimmicky purely because I think and I've always loved design. I love design of computers, I love design of houses, cars kind of, not so much. But I do like a good old, what's that TV show called? Grand Designs. Grand Designs is right up my alley. But in saying something is gimmicky, someone put it there for a purpose, and I think touchscreen has really finally broken past that gimmicky barrier. Very much so when things, with Windows 8, it was super helpful in being able to drag stuff down.
You've got the tile menu.
The tile menu, also optimized for keyboard and mouse. But, just really, pen and ink and touch has also grown so much in this 5 years that we've had a Surface.
I use it literally every day. I use inking every day, I use touch every day, and it all started, with the Pro and the Surface. The Surface Pro, the Pro 2, the Surface RT, these all started there, to the point where I'm so naturally used to it now that I'll try touch my monitor screen.
Absolutely.
Or if I start using some sort of laptop that doesn't have a touch screen, I'll still try touch it anyway.
So guilty.
It's just that second nature for me now.
And I absolutely love watching people interact with technology. Probably one of the creepiest things about myself is I love people watching. You know, like I get the train to work, I travel a lot, airports are a great place for people watching. I buy a coffee every day, so I've got some creep time in a cafe. But I love watching people interact with touchscreen devices.
Yeah.
And I think that just blows the word gimmicky out of the water, because, you know, even my mum, she's not like a self-proclaimed not the most tech-savvy person, but mum will happily go between typing and touching the screen and using a keyboard or mouse.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that blows my mind, just how intuitive touch is.
Yeah.
How intuitive being able to write on the screen is.
Yeah, like, I mean, look at kids at the school, you know, they've come up on tablets and everything, they've come up on touchscreen Windows, PCs, this is second nature.
Yeah.
And like, you know, Surface Pro 2 had that big impact on changing the market, but
Totally.
I actually think Surface Pro 3 had just as big an impact.
Yeah, and this is purely my personal opinion, but I remember from being a part of this, I guess. But I think the Surface Pro 3 launch was the one that got me the most excited. I really think that it was the biggest and boldest step forward that Microsoft took in creating the Surface family.
Yeah.
It changed, like it really changed everything. And I noticed that from, you know, working in a retail environment, people weren't coming in anymore saying, what's that? They were saying, I would like to see a Microsoft Surface.
Heck yeah, like there was definitely that change. You know, we talked a lot about tech people knowing about Surface. That, like Hannah said, it changed to like just about everyone knowing about Surface.
Yeah, becoming a household name.
Yeah, and there was so much extra, almost, I don't know if I'd say extra thought, but there was so much extra that went into the design because of how technology had progressed.
Would you like to talk about the kickstand feature?
I
can feel it coming.
The kickstand, you know, not just being a smooth movement rather than a juddery one now.
Yeah, because it used to only have two forms, so it was like one or two, and you can feel it, like looking back.
Yeah, you can feel it. But you know, little things like when that hinge sets, you know, I love this. But sounding like a car door closing, like I love that. I love the attention.
See, like that's so subtle that I'm going to do it again.
Yeah. Oh, see, like to me, that's awesome. You know, it got smaller. It became an A4 size screen because you know we're so used to working with A4 paper. Why is the screen not like that?
Definitely.
It was just such a huge change. So much thought, so much refined thinking had gone into it.
Beautifully
and
said.
It was just awesome. Like it took it from being premium to almost like that ultra premium amazing level. Like, you know, there's supercars and there's hypercars, there's Surface Pro and there's Surface Pro 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, just changing that hinge now, going from 22 degrees right down to 155, and with the new Pro we've gone right down. It doesn't say there how much it is, which is super annoying, but even further, like look
to 15 degrees.
15 degrees?
Yeah.
Look at that. Like that is ridiculous and so seamless, so easy to do, you know, to go between all of the different modes that you can use your Surface in, and it's always been designed with versatility and portability in mind, and it's like you said, it's that refined thinking in the design that's taken it from here to here. And
like that's continued through, you know, like Surface Pro 3, the body's become more refined into the Pro 4 and even more into the Pro 5, to the point where, you know, we're thinking about how is it most comfortable being held. Smooth edges are more comfortable to hold than sharp edges, and you can't necessarily see that all the time looking at it, but you can definitely feel it. Like Hannah says, a 15-degree angle, you know, changing of fans and the way the heating is worked out, so it's quieter.
Fanless for i5 and under.
So it's just awesome. Better inking level, so it's more natural, you know, 2096.
4096. I was hoping you were going to bring up the pen, because the pen has always been my favourite part of Surface. I am someone who loves to print things off I was someone who likes to print things off.
Everyone off now.
Yeah, because I colour code everything, I highlight things, I write notes to myself. I'm very much always been that person, and like I doodle a lot.
Yeah.
I draw triangles. This is like it's just a weird thing I do.
Strongest shape in the world.
I draw. I'm a strong kind of person, Fletch. But I draw and it's always been a listening and focus thing for me. I used to get told off for it all the time because how can you be focusing when you're drawing, Hannah? Clearly something I've heard a lot. But, being able to highlight and edit documents using ink, using that natural way that I like to do it, has been my favourite thing about Surface. It helped me so much at university. It helps me so much in my job day to day now. Do you know how many points of pressure the first Surface pen was, Fletch?
Was it 246?
56.
56.
Very close.
10 off.
256 points of pressure. And at that point in time, that was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And now 5 years later, we're at 4,096.
So crazy.
We've got tilt technology. We've got an eraser on the end. Like, all of these things, we were talking about our memories of our first computer and how much has changed since then. But even in this 5 years of Surface,
it's just crazy.
Wow.
Absolutely crazy.
So much wow. Such wow. Right, so in this segment we are talking about the things we wish that we knew. So this is going to vary from week to week, and it's mostly just a hints and tips section on things that we use now that we wish that we knew about before or wish were available.
Oh my gosh.
This
is such a big one as well.
And we've actually, and we've seen so many comments specifically about this for the last week in Welcome to the Family, when one of the family, I think this was the most mentioned thing that you guys like to demo to customers in Office.
That's cool. Like, so the topic is research. You can see it on the screen if you're watching the video. Researcher is like a mind-blowing, to me, feature of Office, of Word. I only spent a semester at uni, okay? I didn't like uni, it wasn't for me, so I went into retail instead, and that's led me on my journey here, which is awesome. But one takeaway I remember from uni, and it was horrible, was referencing in your essays and in your projects and making bibliographies, and I wish that this had been around.
Yeah.
But if it had been around, I wish I'd known about it, because I didn't know about this until not that long ago. Absolutely,
and this is a new feature of Office 365, so while I can have a wear and say, oh my god, I wish I knew about this, it didn't exist while I was at uni.
Yeah.
But if I was a student now,
oh my gosh,
like,
I would cry for joy.
I would cry. And every time we've gone and done training with you guys on this, every time that people have actually seen it in action, it is that real
it is
wow. A straight up just instant wow moment, because you can see how much time it's going to save you.
Heck yeah, so I'll just quickly go over what it actually is to make sure everyone's on the same page. So what Researcher is it's a little option in Microsoft Word. As you can see on the screen if you're watching this video, if you can't, you open a Word document, you go to References, and there's a little book symbol with Researcher underneath. You click on that and it opens up a side pane, so you don't even have to leave Office.
See, and that's something else that I love about it as well, like queen of procrastination over here, especially when I was at uni. Like, as soon as I go out to a web page, natural instinct, open Facebook first, that's easily at least half an hour of my time gone.
So easy to do. So it stops you procrastinating by keeping you in Office. It lets you to search any topic you want. So it uses Bing as a search engine. I tested this out, and Hannah laughs at me every time I say this. I actually saw a show with one of these in there, but I searched aardvarks because it's just something that sticks in my mind from high school, because my science teacher used to always talk about aardvarks.
Every time I laugh, because I genuinely have, for most of my life, thought aardvarks were just a mythical creature. But they're real.
They're real. They're like an anteater style creature. So I searched aardvarks in the side pane, and it came up with Wikipedia, which is a credible resource for uni. You just have to back it up with other references. Tons of scientific journals, tons of images, all of which I could open and read. through Word, and if say I was in a Wikipedia or a scientific journal or another website or resource,
some sort of article,
I could just highlight the excerpt that I want, and it'll just come up with add in cite, and I just click that, it adds it to my essay, and most importantly, it cites it. Anyone who's gone through university knows citations are a pain because you have to do it in a specific structure. There's different styles of citations which you might have in different subjects. Researcher will do any of those citation styles.
Yeah.
And it takes hours. It takes
does.
hours.
So not only does it do the citation, it actually does the full reference for you.
Yeah.
So I went to uni for 4 very long years. And they were very long years because I am pedantic.
Yeah.
And referencing was absolutely my pain point at university. Because they lit the fear in me from the very beginning and saying, like, if you reference incorrectly, you will be marked down. And that was something I took very, very seriously, to the point where I went to Whitireia in Wellington, and we had a booklet. So it was like at least a 30-page booklet with all APA referencing styles, whether it be for a journal, for a website, for a CD. Never reference a CD, it's friggin' difficult. But you know, all of the different formats that I needed for all of the different things, and I would copy and paste something from a website, and then I would go through and find it, and then I would follow the formula, and it honestly would have taken me just as long, if not longer, than actually doing the assignment itself.
It's a huge time waster. To me, like, it's obviously very important, but when you have something like researcher,
but my God,
that does it for you, it literally takes minutes. You can, like, if you don't find the reference through the researcher functionality in Word, you can actually still add a reference in.
From external sources.
Yeah, from an external source. It just asks you for some information, you type it in, and then it lays it all out for you. You can swap it in between the reference styles and it'll update automatically, and it'll make your bibliography, which again, if you don't do right, loses your marks.
Absolutely. I wish I knew.
I wish
I knew.
You can tell we're very passionate about this, but I wish I knew. I love demonstrating this feature. Like Hannah says, we demonstrate it a lot. We talk about it a heck of a lot. But that's because that's how much of an impact it has on the right person, right? Like,
absolutely.
As soon as I get a sniff that I'm talking to a customer or, you know, someone in the store, anyone who could even slightly make use of this, whether it's the mum of someone who's at uni, I show it to them. It blows their minds every time. It's just that important.
Definitely. I firmly believe that every student, every journalist, anybody who needs to like back up what they're saying, absolutely needs to know about researcher.
They need to know about this, and there's something else that we still have to talk about, which I'm almost as passionate about.
Yes.
And I think everyone needs to know as well, which is CFE.
And the crowd goes absolutely wild for Sea of Thieves.
Oh my gosh, the crowd has been going wild, especially in Office recently.
I swear, since the 20th of March when this game was released, this was all that I've heard about. There is so much buzz, so much excitement. It was such an eagerly awaited game, and it's finally here. Yeah,
we've been very loud in Office talking about the Sea of Thieves game, and we've been blowing up our group chat. Our work group chat with this as well.
You have.
Yeah, we have. I'm sure for those of you, those who didn't get involved in it, we've been annoying. But Sea of Thieves,
I feel like I'm missing out all the time.
Yeah, you gotta hop on. I know you're a self-described rage quitter, but this is a heck of a lot of fun for anyone. So what is Sea of Thieves? I can tell you so many stories about this, but what is it? Of course, it's a pirate game. It's a big online pirate game where you can sail galleons and sloops with your friends. When you're sailing those ships, it's very much a cooperative game, a cooperative experience.
Awesome.
Everyone has to do something on the ship, you know, whether it's raising the anchor, tacking the sails, raising them, lowering them, being a lookout for anything on the horizon, whether it's sunken treasure ship, whether it's the Kraken coming towards you or some whales, or whether it's another enemy ship who's coming alongside you, you know. Someone's got to load the cannons. You can shoot cannonballs. You can shoot people out of them, which is pretty exciting, pretty awesome. It's a really, really cool, in-depth game. There's you do in most trips on this is there's 3 factions you can go visit, right? And they'll give you voyages, which are like quests in the game. And so these voyages could range from going and capturing chickens, which is pretty cool. Like, what are you thinking? You're capturing a chicken and dropping it off to someone because someone wants a white one or a red speckled one.
The pirate life.
The pirate life. So you can do that, or you can go and fight a famous, pirate captain. So these are guys who died. They are skeletons, but they're it's quite kid friendly still. They're very cartoony.
It is a PG game as well. We'll call that out nice and early.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting that it is, generally all good for all ages.
Yeah, and you want a pirate's life. You want to become the most notorious pirate on the sea, and that's what you're ultimately heading to. With these journeys and these quests that you're going on, it's super exciting. Like there's so much like excitement and tension in the game on every voyage. Like you hear crazy sounds, whether it's like the creaking of skeletons as they come for you on an island, or whether like at one stage I was sailing with a few guys from Office and we heard some whales. But we didn't know they were whales, so we're like, what the heck
is this the Kraken? Oh my god, what's going to happen?
That's what we thought it was. We thought it was the Kraken. This was literally the second day I played it, and I'm not ready to fight the Kraken. But yes, so you can absolutely fight monsters from the deep. It's fantastic fun. Get your mates on board. Awesome. You'll absolutely love it. There's a few hints and tips I can chuck out. One in particular, go play some music around a snake, because you can be a snake charmer too.
That was one of my favourite hints and tips I've heard.
Yeah. Secret pirate skill, become a snake charmer.
Another thing I've heard a lot about is the mermaids in the game as well.
Yes. So there's a mermaid and there's mermen. Let's not merman. So there's mermaids and mermen, and they're very important in the game because we're playing with mates, right? You will fall off a ship. You'll be like me and try walk on top of the sail and get a little bit too cocky and fall into the water. And what will your friends do? They'll probably leave you behind, right? Like some of them might be nice and pick you up, but if it happens more than once, they're going to absolutely leave you behind. So it's very important that a mermaid or a merman will come to your rescue. So you'll see a light beam from the heaven into the water, and that'll represent a mermaid or a merman. You swim towards them, talk to them, and they'll take you back to your ship. They'll rescue you.
See,
what nice people.
What nice people. And that for me is something really cool, and I think a little bit reassuring about the game as you slipped in there. I am definitely much a self-proclaimed rage quitter, and I would love to give Sea of Thieves a hoon, but given it is a cooperative game, I'm just scared I'd be the weak link of the team. So knowing that, there is maybe like a different aspect to the game that I could be a part of, and if I die, the mermaid or merman will come along and save me, that absolutely increases my confidence in enjoying and possibly being good at this game.
Yeah, definitely. And I had very similar fears. I was playing with some hardcore people, so I just volunteered for Lookout. I was like, I don't really have to do anything except look on the horizon. So there's definitely those options out there. And there's things that, I really want to talk about because it goes so much in hand with the Sea of Thieves launch. And it could almost qualify for I wish I knew. But what it is it's Xbox Game Pass. So for those of you who haven't heard of it, I'm going to crack a line which should hopefully make it all clear in your mind. It's a Netflix for games.
So, such a good way to explain it. And so easy to remember.
So awesome. It's incredibly cheap. It's $10.95 a month.
$10.95.
And you get access to over 100 games to download. These are full games.
Awesome.
And these aren't just old games, right? That's why I have to talk about it with Sea of Thieves. Because that launched on March the 20th. It launched, you could buy it, or you could sign up to Game Pass and you could play it. This is something that's going to have lots of AAA big game titles coming out. State of Decay, Crackdown 3, another hugely awaited game.
Awesome.
It's great for people who play online, who love getting on that Xbox Live Gold vibe. And it's great for story gamers. I'm a bit more of a story gamer because my wife gets annoyed when I play online. So I've got to be careful, but a story game I can pick up and put down, and there's great games like BioShock, there's Mad Max, there's all the gear, well not all, well there might be all, I don't know, the Gears of War, Fable, there's so many awesome games that you can play. For people like Hannah, I'd love to see her playing Farm Simulator. Maybe we can get a video of that, it'll be great, big games, indie games. There's such a wide variety. There's so many of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I'm a rage quitter, okay? Like, if I die more than 3 times, that's me done. Like, I've just accepted that I'm not going to be good at it. So something like this would actually be perfect for me. Like, sometimes I find myself with nothing to do. I'm, Married at First Sight's finished now, so I've got an hour to spare a couple of nights a week. Something like this, having, like, I see Pac-Man up there, I see Banjo-Kazooie, like heaps of fun games that I remember from my childhood when I was probably more patient than I am now. But just being able to pick up a controller, have a jam, and not be, super concerned being like, I spent $100 on this game, I need to play it. Or not buying a game that I want to play because I can't justify spending that amount of money. Absolutely.
It's a great value add for people in stores. Like, when you're talking about Xbox, you might as well talk about this.
Absolutely.
Get that value added onto the console, sell some Xbox Live Gold so you can play games like Sea of Thieves online, and sell some Xbox gift cards.
Totally.
Get that attach rate going. Great opportunity, all spawned from Game Pass.
Awesome, thank you guys so much for joining us on the first ever recording of the EZNZ podcast. I've had a lot of fun.
It's been great. It's been absolutely awesome having a yarn, having a yak.
Having a yak with ourselves and with you guys as well. So we genuinely would love to hear some of your favourite memories of using a computer down in the comments below. What you've learned, anything you would like us to talk about in the next podcast. Maybe some tips for Fletch.
Yeah, how many get shot out of more cannons.
If you guys have played Sea of Thieves, leave your gamer tags and we can start a pirate
crew.
Pirate crew. I was like Pirate Cove. That's not the right.
Can go raid them some loot.
Absolutely. If you guys as well, if you haven't already seen it, we are still doing the Welcome to the Family Win One of the Family competition. It's been running through February. We gave Jay a Surface laptop down in Christchurch. And in March, we've just given Ben a Surface Pro here in Auckland. Could it be you who is taking home a Surface Book 2 at the end of April?
It could be, as long as you're in it to win it.
It could be, so make sure you are in it to win it. Posts for that competition go live every Thursday, so make sure you complete the Expert Zone article and also let us know in the comments the answer to the question in that competition post as well. Do not miss it. There are fortnightly prize packs as well as that final Surface Book 2 to be won.
Yeah, and it's eligible for anyone in store. So if you know anyone else who would be keen to enter, make sure you shout it out.
Share it with your friends.
We want to make it rain and meet new people.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, team. We are looking forward to all of your comments and hopefully doing this again if you guys have enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome.
We'll catch you next time.
See you next time.